Hello and welcome to Training Tuesday, where we go through weekly tips and tricks to make your career just a little bit more awesome. Today we are talking about the myth of the right time and the issue of the safe problem. And as all my perfectionists know, this is a common one. So when I talk about the right time, what I mean is this phenomenon of saying, I have so much on my plate and I want to make X, Y, and Z change, but I have to wait for a better time. I see this often with people who are looking to start coaching and then they say, well, maybe I should try some more books and trying to figure this out on my own, or maybe I should wait till I have more availability. You see this all the time in the corporate world too, when people say, oh, I want to hire these people and train them, but I'm going to wait until I have more of an opening. And typically what happens there is if you're waiting for time for something to magically start to happen, the time never really comes. So speaking from my own experience, I know when I started Empowered Achievers, I hired my first coach to help me actually build the business and do all the groundwork to get myself going. I was super hesitant. I remember before I signed her on and before we started working together, having a really tough conversation with her saying, we've moved, my mom recently passed away, I have had so much change, we're engaged, there's so many reasons why now is not the right time. And ultimately, and as she helpfully and lovingly coached me to, I realized that there wasn't going to be a right time, right? I could continually push these things off, but the truth is there was never going to be a perfect opening where I was like, wow, all of a sudden now's a great time for me to build a business. And that's so often the case with people. And so if this idea of a right time is coming up for you, I get it. It's so normal, but I want you to understand that typically there is no right time, and also if you're waiting for it, right, sometimes this can be perfectionism rearing its little head and showing up as procrastination, making you feel like everything has to be perfect before a change comes, and it doesn't. So if you want to make any sort of change that's coming up for you, whether that be moving to a new city, starting a business, changing something in your career, starting a new relationship, any sort of change, and you're feeling that call for the right time, I want you to ask yourself why this thing is important in the first place and start to shift your focus back to, no, here's why I want to do this thing. Regardless of the right time, regardless of the reasons why not to start it now, here's what's coming up for me and why this is so incredibly important. And once you've refocused on what's important, I then want you to ask yourself whether this is a safe problem coming up. So the safe problem that I mentioned, tying into the right time, is this idea of it's the problem that you're able to name because it's a lot more comfortable than admitting the real problem, which is typically, I'm scared to do this thing. So what that looks like is saying, right, oh, well, when I have more time. That's a problem you can point to delay you starting that business or doing that thing because it feels more comfortable than just saying, I'm really scared to do this. It can come up in so many different ways, but that's what the safe problem is. It's the problem that you're more comfortable to admit. Oh, I have so many things on my plate and I can't possibly do this. So if a safe problem is coming up for you at all, I want you to ask yourself, right? If you feel like any of this is coming up and you're trying to distinguish, is this a real reason not to start or is this a projected reason not to start? I want you to sit, and here's my tip for you this week. Ask yourself, is this really a problem or is this simply me allowing myself to stay comfortable? Okay, so is this a problem? Or is this something that's just allowing myself to stay comfortable? Is this a safe problem that I'm kind of making feel bigger than it is? So you can journal on that, you can talk through it, you can do whatever you want to do, but that is my question for you this week if this is coming up. Because truthfully, you have to decide that you want to make a change, right? As I always tell people who are considering working together, I can never want it for you more than you want it for you. And so it's about you being bought in, and you can feel those nerves and you can 100% feel like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous about this, right? It doesn't mean that you're never going to have fears, but it's asking you, is your why bigger than your fear? And is this a real problem or is this a safe problem? So if you want it, embrace the starting, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the most ideal time, even if it doesn't feel comfortable all the time. Because if we waited till we were comfortable for everything, we wouldn't do much, okay? So those are my tips for you today. Reach out if you need help getting motivated towards making a change in your career. And in the meantime, happy working.